song. We're going to get started. We're going to delay just a few minutes. We had a quick issue on our Zoom link, so I just want to allow other people to join. So we're going to play one more song and then we'll get started.
You shut it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but higher bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Cut me down, but it's you who have further to fall. Ghost town, haunted love. Raise your voice, sticks and stones may break my bones. Talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Stone heart, machine gun, firing at the ones who run. Stone heart, those bulletproof glass. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am
All right. Hello. Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you're calling from. And we are going to be recording the call today, and that will allow us to send the link out to you guys so that it can be replayed later. Welcome. If you have not yet introduced yourself in the chat, please go ahead and do that. My name is Jessica Pierce, and I'm the founder and CEO of Career Connectors, and thrilled that you all are here today because it's a great one. We every year we do an event where we bring in some of the best experts on resumes, and we get to have a conversation around what are the best things you can do, the best methods, the best tips for your resume so that you can get directly to hiring managers, and so they can take a look at you. So if you could open up the chat, it's on the bottom of your screen, and introduce yourself. Let us know your name, where you're calling from, and I would love to know what industry you're interested in working in. So great. Santiago, good morning. Melissa, Mary, Sharon, lots of people in the chat. We are very interested in you all engaging in the chat today, because we will take questions from there, but also we have some additional amazing professional resume writers and coaches that are on the call today that are going to be answering and helping moderate the chat. So you may have a question and they will be able to answer you in the chat even during the event. So I encourage you to, as much as possible, engage in the chat, ask questions, introduce yourself. So again, my name is Jessica Pierce, and I wanted to tell you guys a quick story before we got started about happened yesterday. Yesterday, I was interviewing a candidate for a position, and he was telling me about some experience he had. And I'm looking at his resume, and I'm talking to him. I'm looking at his resume, and it's not matching up. And I'm like, wait a minute, wait, what is that? What is that? That's a great example, but I don't see that on your resume. And he's like, oh yeah, I didn't put that on there. I was like, okay, that was kind of weird. And I was like, all right. So I asked him another question, and then he starts telling me another example of another thing he did. It was an internship, and it wasn't on his resume, but it was 100% relevant to the job. And I said, okay, pause. That's not on your resume either. And he goes, no, I couldn't fit it on. And I said, what? And he goes, I have to keep it to one page. And I'm like, oh boy, you don't have to keep it to one page, especially if it's relevant experience. So I know you all are getting opinions from so many people on resumes. And what I promise you today is that we bring the experts to the table so you know what the real deal answers are. Now, they may not always 100% agree with each other, because everyone could do things differently, but the stuff they tell you is going to be legit. You're not going to hear random advice from people that don't know what they're doing. So in that sense, what I would love for you to do is go back to the chat and drop in a question, a concern, something about your resume that you would like us to ask today or to address. What is something about your resume? We're also going to talk about LinkedIn for a few minutes at the end, but something about the resume, your resume, that you would like us to address today. Drop that on the chat. It can be a question, it can be a concern you have, whatever it is, drop it in the chat and we will try and pick that up. And I know we have let's see, Krista Morris is on the call. She's one of our awesome resume writers. We have, I believe, Amanda Miller. If she's not on yet, she will be joining us. I haven't seen her yet, but she's also a wonderful resume professional. And then we have April Malone is new for us today, and she is joining us with Krista. So if any of those ladies answer your questions in the chat, they're legit. You can trust them. All right. So a little bit about Career Connectors. We are a nonprofit organization all about building stronger communities, and we do it through careers. And we want to empower you. We work with people going through career transition. We work with employers and service providers. I know some of you service providers. I saw some of you log in. Welcome this morning. So we work with job seekers, employers, and service providers to really empower you with skills for job search that'll help people land jobs quickly. And that is what we do. We bring them all together here. And so today, again, if you have questions, drop it in the chat. We will do our best to address them. And if we don't get to them, our speakers will try and answer questions, but also our moderators. And our speakers usually answer mostly after they're talking, but sometimes they address them during if they are able to do that. And then we're going to be speaking. We're not going to show a PowerPoint here in a few minutes. We're just going to have the gallery of our speakers on. And so you'll want to probably view this event gallery view, which is, they just changed things around. So you'll see up in the top right corner of your screen, side by side gallery. And so if you see that, then you're going to see all of our speakers right on your screen together. And then at the end, get this, we spend time going into networking breakout sessions, coaching sessions. And so all of our resume writers, coaches, LinkedIn coaches that are going to be on the call today will go off into breakout rooms, and you can go visit with them and talk to them about your resume, specific questions that you have. Most of the stuff we're going to address in the main session today is going to be on a higher level. It'll address the majority of the people on the call. But in the breakout room, when you have specific questions about your resume or your LinkedIn profile, or the fact that you're not sure what career you want to go to, any of those questions can be answered in the small group breakout sessions. And so stay for that time. That'll happen around 10:30 Mountain Standard Time today. So here is our agenda. Oh yeah, closed captioning. I just want to mention you can have closed captioning on. It's at the bottom of your screen. And you will see show captions. And if you click on that, then you'll be able to see the captions and the conversations that are going on. All right, we're going to have our resume panel with Donna, Brenda, and Lori. And then they're going to continue the panel, and we're going to ask questions around LinkedIn as well. So sometimes with this event, I will bring in a LinkedIn speaker to talk specifically about LinkedIn and give an overview in 20 minutes. This year, I'm changing it up a little. I changed it up a little bit, and these three ladies all work extensively in LinkedIn and are, so I thought, hey, let's just keep them on the call and let's ask them these questions around LinkedIn. So we're going to do that this year. And then at the end at 10:30, after the main session, we're going to go into our breakout sessions. And then we have those for an hour. And so you can pop around and talk to different people during that time. All right, ladies, we're ready to go. Thank you so much, everyone, for talking in the chat. We will take a look at these. We have the moderators that'll be taking a look at these. And we will go ahead and get started. I'm just going to pin you three and myself on the screen so you can see us. And then Brenda. Okay. All right. Good morning. Hello. You all look so beautiful. We're so excited to have you here. So the first thing we do is I could read these long intros and these long bios, but I think that's boring. So, but even though you all are awesome and amazing, but what I would love to do, how I want to get started is give us in 2 minutes or less a high-level overview of what you do. And then like either one huge resume mistake you see all the time, one that shocked you, or one that just drives you crazy. So who's going to start?
I'll start because I'm the oldest. Age before beauty, right?
Donna.
Donna Tucker. My business is CareerPRO Resume Center. I've been writing resumes in business for more than 20 years. I'm the co-founder of the Resume Writers and Coaches Association, and currently an officer, and also an executive board officer of the National Resume Writing Association. And I am a generalist when it comes to resume. There's nothing that I don't tackle or approach. I've seen it all. I had a gentleman the other day that worked for a company that did smells. You know, so when you go to a casino, you know how it smells? So the company sold smells. I've just, you know, so there's nothing that I haven't seen.
There's nothing off the table.
Yep. I think the most, boy, it's tough to say what people, the thing that drives me nuts the most, but the lack of achievements on a resume, I guess, has to be the worst. You can't just talk about the job. It isn't about your duties. It isn't just about your responsibilities. It's what you contributed to the organization, what you achieved personally. They're not hiring that other company. the next place you're applying to. They're hiring you and they want to know that you do something. Just by showing up for work is not enough anymore.
Thanks, Donna.
Well, I guess I'm the next oldest. So the young and beautiful Brenda, who will bring us the booze here. All right. So my name is Lori Norris. I just crossed 20 years in business. I own Get Results Career Services, and I am a certified professional resume writer and certified job and career transition coach. I work with everyone, but my main focus is transitioning service members from the military, and that's something I'm very passionate about. I also host the Lessons Learned for Vets podcast that is for supporting transitioning service members. And let's see, what else do we need to know about me? That's it. I'm boring. I'm the one that teaches the resume writing classes for Career Connectors here twice a month. I see some of the people have joined us from that session the other day. Santiago, I saw you in here. So let's see. You know what? I'm just going to stick with what I always say. The biggest mistake I see in resumes is a lack of focus. I think I need the word focus tattooed on my forehead because I say it so much. And so there is no such thing as a generic effective resume. A resume that tries to appeal to everyone will end up appealing to no one. And so the very first step in a job search is figuring out what you want to do next. You've got to know who you're trying to appeal to, or you'll have no idea what to put in your resume, what accomplishments to highlight, what skills to focus on, who do you network with on LinkedIn. So that lack of focus is one of the biggest issues. I see a lot of people that they put everything they've ever done into a resume, and they're like, oh, I hope that somebody will find something in there that they will like. And I kind of liken that to like fishing with an empty hook in the ocean. Like you might accidentally hook a fish in the back as you troll by, but you're going to be much more effective if you know who you're trying to catch. So
Awesome.
there you go.
Thank you. Brenda.
Well, I guess I got the short the short stick. So no, I am first of all honored to be here and to share this platform with Donna and Lori because I think they are ultimate experts and I love them both very much. And like Krista's in the background, like don't sleep on Krista, y'all. This is a award-winning award-winning resume writer in your midst. And so like
Yes.
don't you dare think that just because she's not the face of the event today, like she is everything. And so there's so much talent right here. And I owe so much to the Resume Writers and Coaches Association because it was events where I started to learn a lot of the detail and nuance of resume writing that ultimately made me a lot more confident as a professional resume writer. But I have discovered there was so much more than resume writing that I was good at and that I was interested in. And so I started to expand into things like public speaking and doing like keynote talks and teaching and workshops and building courses. Like, oh my gosh, I love coaching and helping people discover who they are and what they want to do and kind of what they want to be when they grow up. All of those things really, they send me to a very good place, knowing that I'm helping people in a meaningful way. Now, my career started not in resume writing, it started in engineering and project manager. I became certified as a PMP at some point in time. And like, I know how to speak that language, but I do very much like Donna, I help folks in a variety of areas. So don't ever feel like, oh, she can only help me if I'm an engineer. No, I can help all manner of people. So yeah, we're very excited to be here. My biggest issue that I think about on resume, oh yeah, my company is Push Career Management. Check it out if you need to. Biggest issue on resume. So as I was listening to the other ladies, I was thinking, if I look at your resume and I don't immediately see, if I look at your resume and I don't immediately see proof, this is an issue. If I look at your resume and I don't immediately see examples, this is an issue. If I look at your resume and I don't immediately see relevant skills, you telling me that you know how to braid hair, but you're applying for my project manager position. Why do I even care about this? You telling me you know how to go play golf. That's awesome for you, but that's not going to help me figure out if you can do this job. And so a lot of time, I can't even tell you, I think this week alone, I saw 3 different resumes that started with the exact same phrase: results driven, dynamic professional with 15 years of experience. And I'm over it. I am over it. And so if your resume starts with those words, today is going to be a very good day to get a pen and scratch some stuff out and start the rewriting process, because you know you did a thing. That's great, but nobody else knows how well you did it. And so instead of telling me your results driven, tell me your actual results. And so this is what I hope we can get at the heart of today. And I hope you pay attention and don't let your resume look the same at the end of this conversation as it did at the beginning.
I love that, Brenda, so much. I remember years ago, we had only been doing this about 2 years, but Donna was one of our only volunteers. We were lucky to get Donna back in the day, and she was a volunteer and has been forever with us and helping people write resumes. And Donna, I don't know if you remember this, but we were all in person at the time, and Donna was helping a gentleman, and she was writing on his resume and like putting the red ink and change this. And I'm like, so good, because he can go, and man, he's gonna have such a killer resume. He called me and he was mad because she wrote on his resume too much. And I'm like, bro, that's what you want. You want her telling you, change this, do this. So today, get your resume out if you have one with you, or digitally, and mark it up, change it. Because this doesn't get to happen all the time. When you get this much amazing experts in the room telling you what to do. So don't argue with them, just do what they're saying. You can argue another time. But today you're going to hear what they're saying, because our goal, all 4 of us, our heart is that you land in a better job than you left. You make more money than when you left. You represent yourself and you're doing what you want. So, okay, I'm stepping off the soapbox. Now let's talk about mechanics. So let's jump into the formatting stuff first. That's the first topic today. So talk about the top couple elements. What must be on a resume? Brenda,
Contact
Donna,
information.
go ahead. Yep.
Contact information.
Good.
Yeah, let's start at the top. Your name. And if you have a hard to pronounce name, something that's going to stop people in their tracks, put a nickname in the middle. That's okay, you know, and maybe parentheses or quotation marks, make it easier for somebody that's going to address you, so it doesn't embarrass them if they can't say your name right. You know how people can be. I mean, I'm sure if you have one of those names, you know. Your phone number, your email address, and your LinkedIn profile address should be on the resume too. Pardon?
Customized LinkedIn URL.
Oh, yes, customized. Yes.
Mhm.
Not with all the funny little numbers on the end that they give you when you sign up. Make sure you customize it. And it's important too for you to put at least the city and state that you live in. You don't need your house address, but your city and state. Many recruiters do look for people by location, and you don't want to be eliminated because you don't have that on the resume. But at the top of the resume, as part of the resume, not in a header and not in a text box.
I'm going to say you must have your chronological work history, starting with your most recent role and going back up to 10 years, a max of 15 years. I don't care if you have 40 years of experience. I don't want to know it on your resume. It's just a 10 to 15 year picture of your work history, but you must have your work history and your chronology, your dates. So that's something you have to have, and you have to have accomplishments, but we're going to talk a lot about those today.
Yes.
And I'll first of all give a different perspective on names that are difficult to pronounce. I want you to be proud of your name. There's nothing wrong with your name. If you know people have historical challenges pronouncing your name, tell them how to pronounce it so you can actually like do the enunciation things. We did a couple of things. I had a client once, I'll share her name because it's relevant. Her name was Way, but it was spelled Hue. And so I caught her for the very first time. And I'm like, hello, may I speak to Hugh? And she's like, oh, my name is Way. And I was like, oh, my bad. So I'm like, first of all, answer your phone with, hello, this is Way. Answer your phone that way. And secondly, we customized her LinkedIn profile, and it was like linkedin.com/n/Hugh sounds like Way. And so this is like, there are things that you can do to overcome people who have this kind of innate inability to figure out your name. Okay, now with that said, things like margins. I love Jessica's story about the one page. That actually just, I had a client yesterday come back. She stripped out all this good stuff. And I was like, why did you take out all these examples? She's like, because I needed to be one page. I was like, why? She's like, because I know how I feel about one page resumes and I need them to be one page. I was like, okay, that's you, but you are not the only one looking at your resume. So please don't think that you are the only perspective that matters here. There are going to be plenty of organizations that don't care about your resume being 2 pages. Margins, things like that. Like, make sure that we have readable margins, like not smaller than a 1/2 inch. Like, leave some space to breathe on the edge of that darn thing. Leave some little space in between. It should be a readable document. And I'm not afraid of using color. I think color helps information to stand out, like strategic bolding, not over bolding. If I see bold everywhere, what it does is takes attention. It kind of desensitizes me from everything. If everything is bolded, then nothing is important. And so there are things that we can do, I think, from a strategic bolding perspective. If anybody needs an example, like I have a little style guide that we can share, but this is real talk. Make it readable. We'll again talk about content in a minute, but formatting or mechanics of formatting, I think if it's readable, and think about, again, not ever starting with that dreaded phrase, results driven professional with 15 years of experience. Like, good Lord. And I will add, finally, if you do have a substantial amount of experience, like 30 years of experience, 40 years of experience, that's all good. But what I need you to remember is that some people will hold that against you. That age discrimination will now start to bite you in the butt a little bit. And so 15 years is a really good cap for many reasons. One, because your technology that you used more than 15 years ago probably is not even in play today. But secondly, because it's going to help to avoid some of that potential discrimination that could come out and seemingly out of the sky, like, nobody's giving me a chance. Well, why did you tell them you were 65 years old? If you want, like, why? Not that there's anything wrong with being 65 years old, there's not. But if that's the first thing I see and I can automatically discount you, I might. If I'm the type of person that would do that, I will discount you. Instead of looking at the value that you bring, I'm just going to say next.
So good.
May I go back to your one-page resume again? We just, the three of us, and Krista too, of course, attended an HR panel last week, a couple weeks ago. And one of the things both of the recruiters on that panel said was they have never, ever had a resume rejected by a hiring manager because of the length. Even if it was 3 pages long, even though we don't recommend that in most cases. They've never had one rejected by a hiring manager because it was too long. So that's just the least of your worries with a resume.
They just don't have to scroll through it. I had
Make
one
sure you
candidate, it was 5 pages. I didn't look beyond 2. I didn't need to.
Right.
I have no idea what else it said, but it was way better than the 1 page because I had some more.
There you go. Because you learned something, right?
It was literally back-to-back interviews. Okay, so let's talk mechanics a little bit. Talk to us about font size. You've talked about pages. Talk about size and type of font. That's always a big question we get. And any other mechanics you want to talk about you haven't mentioned yet?
Well, sans serif fonts, which means the ones without the little feet on it, is always the best. It's clearer, it's crisper. It goes through the applicant tracking software better. It's easier for people to read. It takes up less space. I particularly use Calibri 11. There's Helvetica, there's still Arial. What's the new one that Microsoft Office
Aptos.
has is the Aptos. But stay away from the Garamond and the Times New Roman. It makes you look old-fashioned, and it's harder to read, both in applicant tracking software and for people.
I'm with Donna. I love Calibri. I
Yeah.
tend to go 10.5 size. I just not smaller than 10. So whatever kind of helps it to fit well and kind of aesthetically pleasing on your page, go for it. I've found that I like to use Corbel sometimes as a header. Like some of the headers, names and different things like that, I'll use Corbel. But yeah, for content, it tends to be Calibri.
Lori just dropped in the chat the actual names of 5 of them that
Oh,
you
how
can use.
nice.
5 font options, and we're hearing between like 10 and 12 is the size. Is that right?
10 and 12, margins like not smaller than a ½ inch, not larger than an inch. Yeah, give yourself room. Like the footer, if you're using a footer or header or anything like that, like make sure it's not right up against the edge because then nobody can see it. Don't rely on information being in the header. Header should be like supplemental information, like let me make sure that's the same resume on page 2. But don't put vital information in a header that it won't be pulled out, parsed out, if you will. So yeah, just keep it simple. I think is probably the easiest piece of advice. And Donna mentioned the HR forum event that we had last week, 2 weeks ago. I think that was one of the big overriding pieces of feedback was like, keep it simple. We don't need to overcomplicate this. It's about the content. It's about the meat and potatoes of that thing. Like how it looks. Y'all, we are out here sometimes using these templates because we think they're so pretty. And these templates end up biting us in the butt. Why do I keep saying that today? But I'm gonna say it until I can stop saying it. But templates can be quite ineffective in terms of I'm applying for a position online. I'm not talking about templates. If you want to send a template to a person and you have a meeting and you want to print that thing out, that's your business. But if you're applying to a position over the internet, like uploading a Word doc or something like that, the expectation is that these systems can pull and extract information out of it. And a lot of times it can't do that depending on how the template is set up. The problem is I don't know what template you're using. I can't give you general advice about which templates are good and which are not because I don't know, and neither do you. And so please just steer clear of them altogether.
One of the
Boy, do I
reasons
agree with that.
One of the reasons we're against templates like Microsoft Word templates or Canva templates or Pinterest templates is because they're overly formatted with things like formal headers, text boxes, tables, columns, and those 4 formatting elements are not compatible with all ATSs. And so the big thing about an ATS is we want to make sure your resume can come from your document that you've created into their system accurately and effectively so that you don't miss those opportunities. So stay away from templates. Look at them to get ideas, but keep it simple and right for humans, not computer.
I'd like to address bullets. We all need some bullets on the resume, but never more than 5 in a row. Nobody's going to read any more than that anyway. Then you've missed the whole point of why you use bullets. And I strongly believe that if you're going to have bullets in your experience section, for instance, they have to be introduced. You want to set the stage for the bullets, which are going to be accomplishments. I hope you all know. They're not job description, it's accomplishments. But you want to set the stage, the environment in which you work, the people you supervise, the people you work with, who your customers are. Whatever the situation is that you work in, you want to set the stage, and then you start talking about how you contributed to the success of that situation with the bullets. Never more than 5 in a row.
I love that. It's over bulleted for sure. Your eyes just kind of zone out. And also, and they kind of mentioned this, but I just want to be super clear. If you're trying to fit everything on the page and you're trying to fill up all the space and you have font size 8, no margins, it is a headache for a hiring manager. And it's like, you don't even want to read it. It's like, if this person, if how they're representing themselves on Paper is how they're going to be in person. They're a lot, and I don't want to work with them.
Here's the thing. I think so many times people fail to understand you're not. Lori says this a lot, so I'm kind of stealing a little bit. But a lot of times we write the way that we like to write, the thing that we want to say, and we fail to recall that there's an audience that we're writing for. And so at this point, like, write for your audience. And so when I see a resume and it's got like a really thick introductory paragraph and really thick paragraphs around each different role, I'm going to tell you what it feels like to me. It feels like work that I don't want to do. I'm not going to read all this. I'm not going to take the time to read all of that information. But if you break it up into little digestible pieces for me, I can work with that. I can work with that. I need it to be scannable. I'm going to look at that thing probably pretty quickly. I mean, some recruiters might take a actual minute or two to look through your resume, but some might not. And your job is to make it as easy as possible for people to consume the information that's in your resume. So yeah, we want to tell the whole story. I get it. I get you want to tell me everything you've ever done and every morsel and detail because you don't want me to miss a minute. I get that. But it ends up biting you in the butt because nobody's going to read it. And so what good did it do to have all that information in there that nobody even consumed?
Thank you. So one big question we get a lot, you guys, and I'm going to jump kind of into content a little bit, but is really around gaps, employment gaps. So two big topics I want to address: the discrimination piece, which you have already started to address a little bit, and then employment gaps. Let's jump into employment gaps first. How do we represent ourselves when there are employment gaps, no matter what it is, from a layoff or taking care of somebody or going to school, whatever it is, being a mom, staying home, whatever it is? How do you address that on a resume?
You can just very quickly address it with a line. It could be, let's just say, I think I saw in the chat someone who had 15 plus years of experience but had been taking care of elderly family members recently. And so I would just put caregiver, the dates, and then I would put one line that just said providing care, no longer needed, ready to return to work full time, something like that. Let them know that you're not going to be working and being a caregiver, that you're ready to go back to work full time. That's how I would address that type of thing. If you had a long-term unemployment, say you were a stay-at-home mom, I might list, like, were you going to school? Were you doing volunteer work? Maybe you were the cookie manager for the Girl Scout troop. That's a lot of money. That's inventory control. That's sales forecasting. That's a lot of accounting. So there are things that maybe that you did as a volunteer. Maybe you volunteered for Career Connectors. I'm certain they would love to have a volunteer. And so, treat that experience just like you would a job, because while you may not have been paid, you were still building really important skills and garnering accomplishments.
I agree with Lori. Volunteer experience is still experience. And so if your gap was on the longer side, I love Lori's suggestion. I would make that line, instead of just caregiving, I would say professional development and caregiving. And now I'd list out any certifications that I earned or courses that I took, or I'm not going to list a book that I read, but I might list the skills that I might have developed by reading a book. And so there are things that you can do. Yes, talk about if you had a leadership or a committee assignment for the Girl Scouts or for the PTA or whatever it is that you were doing. Maybe you were volunteering for Career Connectors or some other nonprofit organization. Like, that's all good, especially if it's relevant to where you're going, right? Especially if it's relevant. So I know later we'll talk about our wonderful Linda, but Linda is an instructional designer who's been helping with something related to instructional design. And why the heck not? This is exactly the type of volunteer service that she should be doing until she gets back to the work that is going to provide income for her. So yeah, this is absolutely not it's not like a deal breaker. And I think I saw very quickly, I saw somebody said, what about incarceration, in the comments? So I'll just address it just because it's top of mind. So if you were incarcerated, especially if it was like more than just a couple months, if it was like less than 6 months, I probably wouldn't even address it. If it was substantial, like on the order of years, I'd probably say, you know, state of whatever. If let's say you were in Arizona, state of Arizona, whatever like work detail duties you had, and you can list it just like it was a job,
Yep. It was a job.
because it was.
100%. We would die on the vine without our volunteers, for sure.
Just to add the however to the gap thing, if it's a short-term gap, if it's 3 months, 4 months, even maybe up to 6 months, don't worry about it. And when you put your dates on the other on your regular jobs, you don't always have to use the months. Maybe you can, and it'll kind of overlap and nobody will ever know.
That's great. So let's talk about the discrimination issue. One of the big ones is age discrimination. I heard you guys say, don't go back more than 10 or 15 years. Is that correct? And then also any other guidance you have there?
Take your education dates off.
Yes.
I graduated from college before many of you in this call were born. And so it makes it look irrelevant and it tells you how old I am. So does this gray hair, but you know, that's different. So, but yeah, that's another way of avoiding that.
I think about so beyond age, so age can show up in a couple of different ways. Like Lori said, it could show up in your like the date of your graduation from college or high school or whatever. It could show up. I keep seeing it, y'all. I keep seeing it in people's email addresses. I'm like, were you born in this year? Were you this old when you made your email? Stop doing that. Stop putting your age and specific dates in those email addresses and just go with a single digit, like your name, first name dot last name 1 at gmail.com, and move on with your life. Let's please stop doing this thing where we're trying to assign like a special memory to our email address. Just don't even do it. It's just not even worth it. But on beyond age, I see discrimination show up in names, right? We see discrimination show up in names that are difficult to pronounce or historically more difficult to pronounce. Educate us on how to pronounce your name so that we are not afraid of saying your name, so we don't feel like, oh, I don't even call this person because I don't know how to say their name. Like, come on, stop doing that. Educate us on how to say your name and get in the habit of introducing yourself with your name the way it's supposed to be pronounced. Speak slowly if need be, if people have that tough a time. And then I think about folks like if you worked for the Democratic National Convention, nothing wrong with you being a Democrat person, but you gotta read the room right now. Like this is a hard moment to be like really loud politically. And I think about race. I think about racial things. So my name is very average. My name is Brenda. Like it doesn't give away any kind of ethnicity in the midst of my name, but there are other names that do kind of give some clues in there. And we have things like National Black MBA or in something like that. And so if you feel like here's my thing. Be proud of the things that you belong to, be proud of the achievements that you have. But if you start to feel like these things are opening the door to discrimination, do a little A/B testing. This is what I like to do. Do a little A/B testing and see which ones open the doors. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like to walk through doors of people that only open the door to me because they thought I was a white person. I don't want to walk through those doors. So if I can't be my whole self with you, I probably don't want to give any of me to you. That's my personal perspective. And so you have to know where your own limits and boundaries are around this thing. If I'm going to include that I was in the National Black MBA Association, or if I was just in a National MBA Association.
But the same thing with age. You know, if you're going to walk through the door at 65 when they were expecting somebody who was in their 30s, it's kind of the same thing. So if you don't, yes, you don't want to tell people you're 65, but you want to
you have to show up in such a way that your value speaks for you,
Yeah.
your ability to do this thing speaks for you, not your race, your age, or any of those other external factors. The work that you are able to do is the thing that will open the doors. And from there, like, we could take it from there. I can educate you about cultural history and all this stuff once I'm on the inside, but I won't even have the opportunity to walk through the door if my resume,
Yeah, that's true.
specifically my resume and potentially my LinkedIn profile, if they're not giving the right pieces of information that even want you to know who I am, all of this becomes very irrelevant. And so let's just make sure that we're keeping the most important information featured, right? Make sure, again, we're those accomplishments and focused and all the stuff that we talked about today. Like, these things have to be the headliners, but we just also have to consider some of these other factors, especially if you've walked a mile in the shoes of a person with skin like mine. Like, this is, it's not something that we get to just pretend doesn't exist. And so we have to deal with those things as they come. I hope that helped.
And Brenda does a really good talk for us annually around this topic. And when I get a second, I will pull up that link to the one from last year, Brenda. I know you have one coming up in July or August coming up later this year, but it specifically addresses all those hard things and some things you can do to work through it. And so I'll drop that webinar URL in here. I want to talk about, sorry, Lori, did you have something you wanted to add?
I just want to say, like, I don't want to know your age, your race, your political affiliation, your religion, or your sexual orientation in your resume. Like, but I want you to showcase the value that is going to make you cost effective. I want you to, as you finish your resume, as they finish reading it, I want them to feel compelled to call you.
Yeah.
By the content of your resume, that so much so that I don't care if you're 60. I don't care if you're purple. I don't care if you're whatever party affiliation of the political party. And so really think about, like, your reader. What does your reader care about? And write it to them. Your resume is not about you. Your resume is about your employer and their needs and what they are looking for.
Yep.
So take the focus off of yourself. Stop worrying about, like, oh, are they going to know how old I am? Are they going to know whatever? And I agree. Like, yeah, if your name is, Ruhu Rumber Haritier Rugubira, just tell them, like, don't be intimidated by my name. You can call me Harry. Right. And so you could say that in your summary, and
Beautiful.
but then go on to tell them, like, why you are the right person for them.
Three key words there: focus, that Lori's been talking about, value that she just mentioned, and then the results. Reread your resume for that. Does it have focus? Does it show value and results of what you've done?
And a lot of that is comes through when we do talk about accomplishment statements. So let's go there, you guys. What are they and how do you incorporate them into the resume?
Go, Lori.
Okay. So remember, your resume is about where you're going next, but we use where we've been and what we've done to prove that we are qualified for where we're going next. And by showing those measurable accomplishments of how you added value in the past, you're proving you can continue doing it in the future. And so your accomplishments are about not what you did all day, but what you achieved while doing it, right? It's going from answered phones to reduced or received an average of 20 hourly calls and reduced hold times by an average of 30 seconds while providing a professional, whatever. I'm just like making stuff up now, but it's that kind of a thing, right? It's showing, like, here's what I'm capable of. If I just wrote answered phones, that doesn't tell you what I can do or how I earn my money. And that's really what I like to tell people is, like, you've got to prove in your resume that you're worth the money they're going to pay you.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah,
And if you can compare it to something, if you work on a team of 5 and you have the best sales results, sales numbers of the team of 5, then you don't want to just say what your sales numbers are. You want to say that you were number 1 of a team of 5. It shows how hard you worked and your go-getterness, ambition.
Donna's sparking something in me even there's a lot of things that we can measure. I love the fact that Laura used the word prove.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that we can include to prove that we have the ability to do the job. And so you can talk about things like, I sold this many widgets, I generated this much revenue, I worked with this many customers, I boosted test scores for this many students, by this amount, I got this amount of customer satisfaction percentage. There's a whole like I come from manufacturing, and so we talk about things like throughput. And so if you can increase throughput or reduce waste or anything like that, or improve yield, all of these things are very important. If you're a project manager, you should be talking about what the cost or value of the project was. Did you do that thing on time? Did you meet all the quality metrics surrounding that particular initiative? And so this is your opportunity to say, not only do I understand what's required of me with this work, but I also have evidence to back this thing up. I can tell you all day that I'm a dynamic, results-driven professional, seasoned with 15 years of experience. You can say that all day, but at the end of the day, you better have some numbers and some evidence to back that thing up. And that's what should be in those accomplishment statements. And so, yeah, you got the little overview, responsible for X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. But now these bullets better bring it on home. These bullets are where the kind of the rubber will meet the road here. And so please don't go easy on yourself when it's time to build these bullets out, because this is where you show up. This is where, again, you are showing, if I did it before, I can do it again. And this is why you should be paying me $200,000 without reservation, because I'm worth every penny. Look what I did for them. I can do it for you.
Now, I've been doing this long enough to know that there are people listening right now that are like, but I don't have any measurables. I was just fill in the blank, right? I had a lady say to me, I was just a daycare provider. And I'm like, oh, well, how many kids under 5 did you watch? How many of those children were seriously injured in your care? Did you lose any of them? Did any of them go hungry? Like, obviously we were being, kind of shocking her, right? But yeah, she had measurable accomplishments. She just hadn't thought of it that way. And so you've got to step outside of what you do and remove the word just from your vocabulary, and you do have measurables. The next thing you're thinking was like, well, I don't remember them. I didn't keep track of that. And I'm going to tell you from here on out, you need to be your own career manager and you need to keep your records. Okay. But if we can estimate numbers, an average of as many as, put a plus on the end. But the thing is, we don't want to just grab that number out of the air. We don't want to, as the military says, wag it, right? So we want to make sure that we are methodically determining that number. That could just be that we're averaging it out. Before we had 4 customers that 4 of 5 customers stayed with us for more than 6 months. After I put this into place, we had 10 of 10 customers stay with us. Okay, that now I can work with that and we can get to those numbers. So you might have to estimate it, but I know that you may not have had records, but think about it, go back, really put it in your mind, like, okay, how can I show that I made improvements?
That's
Okay.
really good. I love something that April Malone just put in the chat. Thank you. Shout out to April. But she said, start keeping track now when things do happen. And so I think about even my adult children. And so if anytime my son comes and he's like, mommy, at work today, XYZ happened, you know what I'm doing? I'm secretly in the background, like updating his resume, because this is something that I know a year from now, he's going to forget that ever happened. And so, yes, it's tedious. It's frustrating, and nobody should have to do all that. I get that. I'm with you. I'm actually team you. But and we still have to make sure to account for these things. And so, yeah, it's really good kind of in almost in real time. If you do any sort of a weekly report, I used to do a weekly report. And so I'd kind of call out like, ooh, that was a really big deal. I was proud of myself. Anytime you're really proud of yourself, like put that thing in it doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't have to be the polished, finished resume speak. Just put the scenario in your kind of resume that you're building in the background. And now when it's time to update it, you got all the ammunition you need. We can polish that thing when we're ready.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to move on because we have two big topics left and we haven't even gotten to LinkedIn yet. So I'm going to jump into Donna's favorite topic. We're going to talk about ATS. So I'm just going to say the acronym and I'm going to throw it your way, Donna, and tell us what that is and why it's important.
Applicant Tracking Software Systems. Whenever you apply for a job online, you're going to meet one of those. There's probably 200, 300, 400 different companies producing those. So in my mind, you have to write to the lowest common denominator. Some of them are very sophisticated, and you can use those fancy schmancy resumes that Brenda mentioned earlier with all the formatting and the columns and the text boxes, and they can read them beautifully. But what if when you upload, it doesn't go into that system? It doesn't go to that system. And I'm not saying they ever reject them, but you aren't going to score because it can't read the information on it. Some of the less sophisticated ATS systems can't read text boxes. It doesn't read anything in a header or footer. It reads left to right. So if you have columns, it's going to read straight across both columns at the same time. And it just isn't going to be effective for you. That's why, as Brenda said, keep your resume simple. The color, color makes no difference to the applicant tracking software. So that can highlight the things that you thought maybe you needed the text boxes for.
Yeah, a lot of people have so much despise for the ATS, right? And
well, you can't. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
You
right.
can't get away from it.
So, but one of the things is around keywords. So talk about why that's important and what does that mean and how do we do that?
So in its simplest form, an ATS parses information from the document you give it, and it fills it in with their system. So we need that ATS compatibility, right? And then what happens is the ATS reviews your resume and it ranks your match for keywords, skills, requirements. Right. So people often say like, oh, I have to beat the robot. Well, that a lot of times that mindset is because you get like you apply to a job at 10 p.m. when you know HR is not there and you get an auto reject. If that's ever happened to you, that was the ATS that said, we're going to go in a different direction. However, a human being behind the scenes set up knockout questions. Do you have a degree? Do you have this certification? Do you have this many years of experience? And if you didn't show that on your resume, you got put into the no pile. So now they go in, they go through your resume, they scan it for a keyword match, and you get ranked. And all recruiters like to say, I read every resume that comes in the door. And I would love to believe that, but if you get 1,000 applicants and you are managing 5 different requisitions, do you think they're going to read 5,000 resumes all the way through? So maybe not. And so we want to make sure we get ranked higher, so we're more likely to be reviewed by the recruiter. And that keyword match is the way that you do that. So making sure you're creating a compatible resume with the ATS and that you're putting in keywords. but I don't want you to make it a keyword salad. I don't want it to look like you threw a bunch of words at the resume. And also, I don't want you to hide the job posting in two-point font white so that, you're being sneaky, because you're not being sneaky. The ATS turns everything that's white into black in the system. So they're going to see that you did that. But so those are some things that I wanted to point out about the ATS. So I'll leave the rest to
I'm
Brenda.
gonna say this real fast. I promise we can move on. Okay, so real life analogy to keywords, dating apps. And so I know some of the married folks, y'all just gonna have to earmuffs for a minute, because the single folks on this, y'all are gonna understand when I say we know what we're looking for. And when we see certain words, we're like, oh gosh, swipe left, absolutely no. If I see somebody that's just like, must be at the gym and must like mountain climbing and must like camping, I'm like, ew, no, ew, next. And so this is like the kind of other alternate life equivalent of keywords, right? It's, I know what I'm looking for. If you're not speaking the language that I'm looking for, I'm not going to pick you. I'm not going to look at you further. I'm going to say, no, thanks, not the right fit, and I'm going to move on. And so please, please, please understand that this is happening in so many different dimensions. And so the more we can, again, learn to read the room and understand what our audience is even looking for. Yeah, we need to know ourselves. If we don't want somebody that likes to go camping, don't choose somebody that likes to go camping. If you want somebody that knows how to use Salesforce CRM and they didn't say it on their resume, I'm not going to pick you, because that's the very specific skill that I needed and you didn't tell me you had it. So next. And so keep that in mind. That's all.
That leads right into artificial intelligence. Are you going there next?
That's next. Go for it.
Because that's where you can find those keywords that you need. I love artificial intelligence for that. Find your job posting, put it into, I think Krista recommended here on the chat GPT, but there's lots of them to use. So don't feel that there's anyone that's any better than any other really when it comes to this, but just copy and paste it into an artificial intelligence program and ask it to pick out the keywords. I usually ask it to separate hard skills from soft skills and then the job requirements. And it usually can do it just very nicely bulleted, and then make sure that you can integrate those into the body, not just in the summary of your resume, but into the accomplishment part of your resume. As much as you can use any of them, try to. And if you don't have them, don't lie. But when you were mentioning, some kind of software technology, CRM, if you don't have it, don't put it on there just because it's required, because they'll catch you. They'll catch you eventually. What does that bite you in the butt?
Bite you right in the butt.
I dropped
Or
in
butt.
3 links in the chat. ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, and then JobScan is one specific for resumes. And then I think Krista dropped in a couple recommendations also. Those are all there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, be careful of JobScan though, because that's the one that gives you a score.
They're
And it
selling
scares
you
people to death,
something.
doesn't it?
Go ahead.
Lori.
I was just gonna say, like, just keep in mind that tools like that are comparing you, and they're like, that's specifically what they do. Those are information farms, and they're
Good.
selling you something, and you are never gonna get above a 25 to 30% score on that one.
Yeah,
So
that's what I
good.
thought.
Look, I
But
learned
when you're
something new.
using the AI, use it pretty much for this reason, to see whether you have the right keywords in your resume to compare with the job, or to find the keywords that you need to put in your resume. But please don't let it write your resume. Your resume, it's going to be so full of trite phrases and comments, detail-oriented, dynamic, results-driven, whatever. Nobody wants to see all that. Proven track record, that's a big one.
How do you balance that between having AI write your resume and then the personalization? Is there a balance? What's the right thing to do?
What I always say is, I don't want you to ever let anyone or anything write your resume for you. I'm a resume writer. I make a living writing resumes, but I don't write them for people. I write them with people.
All right.
Like
there you go.
I'm going to talk to you. All of us in this call today are going to talk to you one-on-one. I'm going to spend 60 to 90 minutes minimum with you. And you and I are going to have a conversation, and I'm going to write a resume in your voice. And then I'm going to send it to you and say, now you need to read it and make sure you can support every line of this resume. So if I give, like, here's the thing. AI learned how to write resumes originally by scraping Reddit threads. I'm not going to let Reddit write my resume. And AI will make things up. AI knows, like, oh, you're a sales professional. You need numbers in your resume.
Yeah.
It'll just pull them out of the air. And then you get in an interview and they're like, oh, tell me how you increase sales 22%. And you're like, I didn't write that. Oh, really? Okay. That's not going to go well. And so your resume is only going to be effective if you can support every line of that resume in an interview. The resume is just one part of this process.
Yeah, so good. Thank you guys for that.
Yeah.
Let me ask one more resume question, then we're going to move over to LinkedIn a little bit. And so, Lori, you said something, and this is not, I didn't prepare you guys for this, but Laura, I did, right? It's okay. Lori, you said something about when I work with somebody to write a resume, I'm on the phone with them an hour, hour and a half or so, and I write a version, and then they edit, and then you edit, and like you go back and forth, right? And I think that's so interesting. And I know that you all do that. I know this is your business, your world, because so often people that come through our program will go, hey, I paid this company online $300 and I just had to send my resume and they sent this back and it's a piece of crap. Seriously, sorry for my language, but it is. So and you know, we see people on the thread going, I don't have any accomplishments or I don't know what. Why do you spend that time with them? Tell us more about that. What is that about?
I like to say I poke at you until I give you until you give me what I want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I don't have any accomplishments. And I'll be like the lady with the daycare, right? Well, how many of this? What did this happen? What was the impact? Like, we're going to tell you that your accomplishments need to have the so what factor in them. Right. And so that's what I'm going to ask you. You manage projects. So what? Were you good at it? How many did you do? What was the budget? Right. So that's what we all are going to do, is we're going to poke at you until you tell us what we want. And you know what's going to happen along the way? You're going to get more confident. You're going to learn how to talk about yourself better, because that's not fun. We don't want to talk about ourselves. And so like I specialize in military transition, and what they'll do is they'll give me military language and I'll give them back civilian language, right? So I'm translating for them as we're talking. So that, I think, is obviously the resume is a value, but I feel like that personalized process is really important too for the job seeker. And I think Brenda and Donna can speak to this too, is that it's like that's kind of where the magic happens, right? Like you learn like, oh yeah, like I once had a guy who's like, I want to sleep with my resume under my pillow because I feel so awesome now. You know, it's like he didn't even know he had accomplishments. So
I told somebody just yesterday, like,
I'm sorry.
I was like, I'm not a typist. I am not here to type your resume. I'm not here to make your resume just look pretty without any substance. I'm here to ask you all of the right questions to pull out the right information from you. Sometimes you don't even know the questions to ask yourself. That's my job to do. It's my job to pull out the right examples, to feature the right information, to structure the resume in such a way. Does your education need to come first on this resume versus that person? That education could go all the way at the bottom. Like, there are a whole host of decisions that go into an effective resume, and that is generally not something that an artificial intelligence bot can do for you. I saw somebody, I'm gonna tell you, I saw somebody in the chat that said something like, I had a friend that worked with a professional resume writer and it was crap, and what's going on with that? Like, why are y'all, how can y'all justify the prices and all of these things? I can't speak to that individual, this professional resume writer that you worked with. One, I would ask, do they belong to any kind of professional development association at all? Like, are they just out here guessing, or are they out here doing things like we probably learned in high school 20, 30 years ago? Are they still kind of reiterating and rehashing out same outdated old advice from the ancient of days? Like, what are we doing out here? And so we need more information than that, because not everybody that calls themselves a professional resume writer is a professional resume writer. So please watch for actual credentials, involvement in professional training and development, certification, NCRW, CPRW, oh, not really CPRW, but NCRW for sure, InCope on the LinkedIn front, right? This is, do you know the mechanics of how this thing works? I mean, the insider knowledge, like studying this thing like it's a science. This is not something I ever had the interest of doing as an engineer, but I absolutely love getting into the weeds as a resume writer. It is so much more than just putting a website together and saying I'm a writer. You're not a writer until you are proven. And so please, please, please rethink those assumptions. And yes, how much does it cost? It does depend. Some resumes, I don't think I've ever seen a legit resume less than like $400, like a legit one. I'm talking about legit. I'm not talking about the ones you could like send the thing and we'll send it back and you're done. Those are probably $99. I'm not talking about those because that's not legit to me, right? My definition of legit is something that's very interactive and a professional atmosphere. So I'd probably see something along the 400 on the very low end. I have seen a few, not 100,000, a few thousand on the high end. These are typically for very niche type of things. Like I've seen like some of our colleagues that work with like legal counsel and executives, a lot of those kinds of things can be in the kind of 2,000 to 3,000 kind of space for a resume writer. But you could probably find a very decent, qualified, legitimate resume writer somewhere in that several $100 space. And I think you'll be in great hands, but ask for credentials. Ask for, again, we talked about Krista, like she won awards, like ask for that stuff. How do I know that you are good at the thing that you do? What's your proof that you can do this for me? And so ask those questions and don't be afraid.
That's so, yep, Donna.
I promise I will be quick, Brenda.
I know.
Do people get jobs with mediocre resumes? Yes,
Yeah.
they can.
Thank you.
But remember, every day, every week, every month that you're out of work is costing you money.
And I don't want you to just get a job. I want you to get the
A job.
darn job.
Exactly.
So I don't want anything left to chance when it's the specific work at the specific place where I want to be. I'm not leaving that to chance and just throwing out a generic resume and hoping for the best. I'm not doing that.
So every single week I get emails from people saying, hey, I'm a resume writer. Can I help, what can I do to help you guys? How can I be involved? The very first question I say is, what association do you belong to? And do you belong to the National Resume Writers Association or RWCA, the Resume Writers and Coaching Association? And they're like, oh no, what is that? I'm like, oh no, like we only work with the Resume Writers and Coaching Association. That's it. Because all of them are also going to be associated in some capacity with the national. And I know what you guys go through every year to get your certifications, to do your training, you go away to conferences, you all this stuff. So I know it's frustrating, you guys, because there are people out there that say they're really good at this and you just can't know unless you do the digging. So it's really important. And then the other thing people ask me is, Jessica, can you meet with me to go through my resume, to do all these stuff? And you know what I say? No, I don't do it. I'm not the one you want doing your resume. I know who can do it, but it's not me. Now, if you want to talk about networking, okay, but like I am not the resume person. So make sure you're talking to the right people. Okay, you guys, I got to move on. We could do this all day. let's talk LinkedIn for a few minutes. Let's talk LinkedIn. There's so many questions in the chat, but also I have some questions here. How important is LinkedIn? Let's just go high level real quick. How important is LinkedIn, and how can you be most effective on that platform? Who'd like to start?
It's 10 out of
LinkedIn
10 important. It's 10 out of 10 important.
Okay.
It's non-negotiable. This is not up for debate. Let's not even have a conversation. Let's move on to the end. The only exception to that is folks who are in traditionally perhaps blue collar type roles. You probably aren't being recruited there, but even that, I'd probably gamble it and still make a profile. And then how to get the most out of it is engage. Don't create a
Yes.
profile and let it sit there and look pretty for the audience to just admire from afar. Like, get involved in it. And that means things like connecting with people and interacting with people, commenting, liking, sharing on posts so that people will have some visibility to you, and be able to make mental connections to the work that you do. And so if I met you today and then we never had another conversation, I'm not going to remember you. I'm not going to know what you're good at. I'm not going to be able to refer you for specific opportunities. But if I met you today and then we stayed in touch and you liked a couple of my posts and you shared commentary and you added some perspective, and then you sent me a message and said, hey, by the way, just so you know, I'm looking for this kind of role, and so please keep me in mind if anything comes along. And we have this rapport and relationship, and now that opportunity presents itself, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, you need to talk to this person. This is exactly who you need to talk to, because I know the work they do and I've seen them in action, and they got the goods. So let me make an introduction. And so if anything short of like, I'm gonna just send you a connection request and then we'll never speak again, you might as well have not even shown up at all. And so let's make a habit of connecting and actually engaging with people. I'll be quiet.
And should you have the premium LinkedIn account? Yes, it's valuable if you're going to use your LinkedIn, because you can see who's visited your page and who's reading your page. You have more messages you can send out because you want to connect with recruiters in your industry, and you're limited without and try the trial for a month. If you do everything right, you'll probably be back to work and won't need to renew it, right? But
I'm
LinkedIn
still on free
is-
LinkedIn for now, you guys, just to be full transparency. I'm still on the free version. LinkedIn is making it harder and harder to get the same value out of the free version. So I'm like, I'm probably just a few months away from having to upgrade to premium, but they're making it like all the
it's
options
worth
are
it,
just
Brenda.
shrinking, you guys.
I
So
thought the same thing for a long time, but it's really worth it to have the premium.
I think the time is now for it to be worth it. But don't activate your free trial until you know you have some capacity in your life. Like if you're in the
Yeah.
midst of life in right now, like this isn't the moment. But give yourself a week or two and like, okay, you know what? I can do some things in the next 30 days, and set a calendar to cancel it if you don't have the funds to pay for it. Set a calendar reminder, alerts, and all the thing, because they will renew that thing at 12:01 and your $40 is gone, baby. So so just kind of keep that in mind. But I think this is the right time. If you are thinking about premium, the time is now.
For any
But-
veterans or transitioning service members in the
Oh,
in the
yeah.
event today, you get 1 year free of premium. So
Can't beat that.
mhm.
So I would encourage everyone on the line right now to activate connecting on LinkedIn. So go out and get your LinkedIn profile URL right now and drop it in the chat, and so we can connect with each other. I'm going to drop the instructions also on how to do that in the chat, but basically open up a browser window and you can go to your profile. I always say, if you click on your picture, you'll get to your profile. So get to your profile, and that URL in the top search bar is what I'm talking about. Click on that, copy that, and drop it in, just like Santiago did and Erica. Anytime you are going to an interview, a conference, connect with the speakers, connect with the people that you're interviewing with, and send a little note when you're doing that, so they know why you're connecting with them. Connect. It's so important on LinkedIn.
And optimize the content on there. It's not enough just to have your name and the title of your position. You've got 220 characters under that for that headline or tagline under your picture, under your name. Use it. Put in the titles of the jobs you're applying to. Use some of the keywords that are essential to that job, because there's certain places that recruiters can see. They don't see that open to work thing. Recruiters from the back, when they come from the back end, they don't see that open to work, but they can see the headline. They can see the first three of your skills. So make sure the skills section has the top 3 skills on it. Your about section. And of course, you want to fill out your experience just like your resume. Make sure they match.
A professional photo. I just got a connection request on my watch. You can see it's like a little grayed out person. So you're 9 times more likely to show up in a search with a photo. And people are more likely to connect with you if you've got a photo and you've got a profile. If someone sends me a connection request and they don't customize it, I go to their profile and I see, are they active? Do they have other people that we are connected to? And if they don't, I don't accept it, because I want to have connections that are going to add value to everyone in my network. I saw in the chat, like, how many people should I be connected to? Should I only connect to people I know? Well, if you only are connected to people you know, your value on LinkedIn is confined to the people you know. I've had amazing things come my way because of the expansion of my connections on LinkedIn. So strategically connect with people in companies that you want to work with or for. People that work in roles that you want to work in, people that can be mentors to you. So your connection should be people who can mentor and educate you, people who can refer you to roles, and people who can what am I trying to say? Recommend you. So people you've supervised or people that have supervised you. These are the people you should be connected to.
And ask for those endorsements and recommendations for your resume.
Yes,
you can
absolutely.
read them before they're posted. So if you don't like what they say, you can.
I want to also address something. I happened to glance at the chat and I saw something from Rita that said that they were pivoting to QA, to quality assurance. And so anytime you're pivoting, you're going into a new space. Make sure that your LinkedIn profile kind of speaks to your future and not to your past. If you want us to know you as a QA person, give us all the proof and the evidence and the examples and all the content centered around QA, and perhaps how your past self helped you to become qualified to work in the realm of QA. But sometimes what I see is folks that are ready to pivot, they focus everything on what they used to be. And then they're like, well, I don't understand. Nobody's giving me a chance. Is it because I'm old? Like, no, it's because you didn't tell us how you were qualified. And so making sure that if that's what you're looking for to pivot, speak everything from your resume to your LinkedIn profile to how you talk about yourself is in the direction of your future. I want to go into QA. Here's how I'm qualified. I've done this. I know this compliance standard and this regulatory practice and all these things. I know how to be in the world of QA. And if you don't yet know how to be in the world of QA, go learn how to be in the world of QA. Get webinars, professional development, LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, YouTube University, for goodness sake. We have absolutely so much control over what happens next. So just don't do the thing where we only emphasize what we used to do and what we could do before, and we never show and connect the dots to how we can do the thing that we're looking to do next. Thank you for the comment.
I'm going to wrap this section up with one more thing, and then I'm going to have each of you give your last piece of guidance. One of my favorite pieces of advice that I heard about LinkedIn was from actually Brenda, from you. Brenda said 5 minutes a day. You don't have to feel overwhelmed. You have 3 things you need to do in 5 minutes a day on LinkedIn. Number 1 is connect. Make a connection, or 2 or 3, but make a connection and write the intro, right there why you're connecting. So 1 is make a connection. 2 is like or comment on something somewhere on LinkedIn. When we post about this event today, go out there and reshare it. How easy is that? Or comment on it. So number 1 is connect. Number 2 is like or comment on something. And number 3 is share or write a post. So that's it. And that can all be done in 5 minutes or less a day. So don't sit behind your computer and just feel overwhelmed. 3 things, that's all you have to do. Okay, last pieces of advice about resume, LinkedIn, or the job search. Lori, let's start with you.
Okay, let's see. Last piece of advice. Write it for a human being. Yes, we need to make it compatible with the applicant tracking software, but a human being is going to read your resume, and you need to make sure that you're speaking to their needs. People hire because they have a need to fulfill or a problem to solve. Companies want to make money or save money. Tell them with what you write how you're going to add value. Take the focus off yourself, write it for the people that are reading it, and make sure you're showcasing your value.
Thank you. Donna?
My 3 things. I got 4 up here. Okay, 3 things. Focus, value, and results on the resume. It really boils down to as simple as that.
Love it. And
Well
Brenda?
said. Ask for help.
Mhm.
This is hard, you guys. Between the 3 of us, we've probably spent multiple decades learning this stuff. You've been here for an hour, so please do not hold yourself to the same standard that we hold ourselves to. And so ask for help, because this can be a challenging process. I've seen a few folks that are like career advisors or employment specialists through the state or the city or some sort of government agency, workforce development. I'm proud that you guys are here learning some of the best practices so that when people ask for help, they can go to you and get qualified answers. Ask yourselves, so what? A lot, like a ton. Like as you go through every line on your resume, if you plan on DIYing this thing, ask yourself like almost, so what? You're results driven, detail oriented professional with 15 years of experience. So what? Well, that means that I'm really good at my job. So what? Well, I've worked with like 1,000 Fortune 500 companies. That's what matters. And so
Yeah.
maybe lead with, I've worked with 1,000, Fortune whatever companies. And then ultimately maybe have somebody else look at your resume so that you can get a perspective outside of yourself. Because sometimes, right, if I might say, are you convinced that you can do this job? Like you already know, in your mind, but can somebody else on the outside instantly see and connect that you can actually absolutely do this work? And so get some outside perspective, ask for help, and ask yourself, like almost to the point of just nausea, so what?
Awesome. So good. So good, you guys. I have learned so much from you guys over the last 15 years. I've never told you this before publicly on this forum, but you all have changed my life in ways that are dramatic and real. And you have served thousands and thousands of people. And it's your heart to serve. So thank you for doing this with me, for being friends for so long, and providing the real stuff, the real guidance other people don't want to say, don't want to do, or they're trying to pitch services. That is not your heart, and I love all 3 of you so much. So thank you. How about a round of applause? If you have any words of affirmation for them in the chat, please do so. Thank you. I just adore all 3 of you. Thank you for being here today. Yay! So they're going to stick around. They're not going to be gone. But I am going to go through some resources, and then we will get you guys into the breakout rooms where you can talk directly to any of these ladies, plus the additional ones that have been answering in the chat and that have joined us. I'll go over that in just a minute. We would love for you all to take a moment to fill out a survey. So Wendy or Sharon are going to drop in the chat a quick survey. This survey information allows us to collect some demographic data so we can go after grants. We go after grants with this data so that we can provide these no-cost resources on the ongoing. Right now, we're on a contract with Pinal County, a grant that we have where we're providing additional deep dive trainings. And so I'll talk about those events in just a minute. All right, so one more time, Sharon, can you go ahead and drop that link, that URL one more time? Thank you. Click on that link. And while you all are doing that, I am so excited to share something new that's coming. So this has been a year in the making, and it's been about 8 years project. We have been dreaming about this. This program we are launching is called Pathways, and it's a personalized career coaching program sponsored by us, Career Connectors, but in partnership with experts. And Brenda Mariah is one of our partners on this. And so we asked, what we hear all the time is, I love what you guys do. I love it. I need more. I need some one-on-one time, or can someone just help me go from here to here? And so, yes, we finally can. So what I want to show you guys is we are going on a job search road trip, and we are taking you along, and we are going to get you from the day that you are laid off or that you're looking, and we are going to get you through this process that's so hard sometimes, because I know some of you are like, I'm at home, I'm alone, I don't know what to do. I mean, our email, that's basically what we get every single day. How can I meet with you? How can you write my resume? How can you do my LinkedIn profile? How can you? We just don't have enough of the resources. So we're bringing this to you where you're going to be able to decide what you want to do for a career, if it's stay on the same track or do something different. We're going to help you get to your resume together, your LinkedIn profile, your brand. We're going to, along the way, we're going to provide some stops for you to think about and to do some thinking, and to do some activities, to do the work, like writing those accomplishment statements that they just talked about. And we're going to talk about how you can have the right compensation. We're also going to talk about what not to do. Are there some things that you don't feel right about? Are your values aligned with what you're trying to do, where you're headed? And all of that process is going to get you to a place where you're going to be able to have the resume, the LinkedIn, do the interviews, negotiate a salary, and you're going to have a coach essentially online right there to help you. So we all recommend some type of help, whether I go to a counselor now every week or every month. I see a counselor. I have a group of friends, like hopefully some of you have a group of friends. And then if you're investing in a coach, you have a coach, but that will help you get a game plan. So what we've done is with this Pathways program, I'm so excited about it, you guys. We are launching later this month, and it will be a fee-based, but it'll be a very, very low, affordable fee-based program because we have to pay for the software. So it will be a low fee-based program where there will be videos, activities, so that you can go through it right from today when you're looking until you land. And so we will be reaching out to you when it's ready to go, when it's launched. It will be a very soft launch for the first couple weeks. And if you're in that initial soft launch, Brenda and I are working together to provide some additional group training programs, additional support. So if you're in that first group of soft launch and you work the bugs out with us, you're going to get some extra bonus stuff that we're really, really excited about. And so this, Christine, it is so exciting. I know I'm like going on, and I don't mean to go on and on, but it's something we have dreamed of for years. And our board has been like, you've got to do this. And it just took the right people at the right time to make it happen. So thank you, Brenda, for all your hard work on helping us make this happen. We're putting the final components together, and you guys will see this coming out in the next couple weeks. So if you get on board early, you're going to get some extra time with Brenda and I. And so we're so excited. So Pathways is coming. And so be on the lookout for that. All right. So next, Brenda, do you have any thoughts on that real quick? I didn't even ask you.
Just get on board, y'all. I'm so excited about the program, and that early soft launch time is going to be where you can ask some of your toughest questions, and so we can really dive deep. We don't want anything left on the table. When this course is over, you should know what to do.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Okay, here are a couple additional resources for you guys. We do have the recording today. We do have this webinar being recorded today. And so we record all of our webinars, and it's at that link. Now, you're going to get an email later today, and it's going to have that link on there. And so you can click it and you can watch this video back. You can, move it forward, pause it, whatever you like. And so you'll be able to have that. We obviously are all over social media and engaging that way. And then we also have a DISC assessment that is at no cost to you through a partnership that we have with Top Talent Consulting. And so what that is an assessment that it will take you about 10-15 minutes. You answer some questions, and then it will give you a 24-page report about your behavior style. So if you're not sure what some of your strengths are, those kind of words are put in there. If you're not sure what your ideal work environment is, that information is included. And so it's based off of a quick 15-minute kind of assessment quiz, and then it'll give you back. All right. And then, of course, we always recognize the RWCA, the Resume Writers and Coaches Association. Again, we are based in Arizona. So if this group, are you guys specific to Arizona still, or are you more national now?
Yeah.
You're national now. Okay. So originally when I started working with them, it was predominantly Arizona people, but it's now a national organization. And if the resume writer that you're talking to is not associated with this organization or the National Resume Writers Association in RWA, they're not probably the one you want to be working with. And so they need to be associated and trained with some type of organization. So here's the deal. These ladies volunteer their time during events, and they have for years and years and years, and that's their heart. So we're so grateful for that. Okay, so some upcoming events, you guys. These are our big monthly events. We do them on the first or second, sometimes actually second Thursday. All these fall on the second Thursday of the month. We are going to talk next time. We have a brand new speaker. I'm so excited about it. And her name is Lethea. She's going to be talking about intentional serendipity, but also we have Amanda Miller, who is sitting on the call right now and answering questions. She's one of our professional resume writers and coaches. And she is going to do a section about the top 6 job components you must have. And so those two together are going to be talking in April. Then in May, we're going to be talking a lot about LinkedIn. And then we're going to do in June, we're going to do branding. So we have a lot of really good stuff coming up. We also have some deep dive workshops coming up. And Lori, who was on today, teaches some of these. She teaches the resume writing ones. So March 20th is the next one there. I do the job search essentials and interview prep. Sometimes you'll see Brenda pop into some of these as well. Salary negotiation and networking and branding. And then, so these are all free. And you guys, they're all sponsored because of a grant through Arizona at Work, which I know that some of these, we have some Arizona at Work people on the line, but this is Arizona at Work, Pinal County sponsors these and has put it in their budget so that people have resources to these job search workshops. So grateful to be able to do that. All right, if you feel like you want to volunteer or you want to volunteer, especially during this time, here are 3 coordinators we're looking for. These are going to be like 10-ish to 15-ish hours a month. So a handful of hours a week. We're looking for somebody to help with some social media content and scheduling. We're looking for some hosts for our virtual workshops. And then that new program that we're launching has been supported by an amazing volunteer. Her name is Linda Caris. I don't know how we would have done this without her, really. It was like we were tackling an elephant. And I know you've all heard, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. But I'll tell you, if Linda wouldn't have been dropped in our lap, I don't know how we would have ever eaten the elephant. So she's amazing. And we need somebody else to also help us with the logistics of the program, making sure people get registered, answering questions. And so if you're interested in volunteering, please go to careerconnectors.org/volunteer. There's a short application, and then I will follow up with you. Thank you to all of our volunteers on the call right now. Thank you to our coaches that have been answering questions and have been part of this. We are incredibly grateful for you. April, I heard about you at the last minute, so you didn't make the slide, but April, we're so grateful, April Malone, for being part of the team and joining us and answering questions as well. Thank you so, so much. And then lastly, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. So as you land, as you're thinking about, are there organizations I would like to give to? We would love your support so we can continue to keep pushing this forward. We're grateful for you guys. Thank you for being here. We're gonna jump into our breakout rooms right now. And Wendy, did you wanna kind of talk through this and what's happening? I'll push it over to you. And then I just wanna say, thank you all for being here. We are praying for you, and we hope that you all land into the career of your dreams. Thanks for being here today.
Sure. Thanks, Jessica. So in just a minute, I will open the breakout rooms, and all of our speakers, as well as the folks online who've been helping out, will have a room. If you have a small screen, you may have a little button with 3 ellipses that says more. You can find the breakout rooms there. You may have just a button that says breakout rooms, just depending on your display. Let me open those now so that you have visibility to that while I am talking. I've got to find mine now. Breakout rooms. I will open all the rooms. We have 8 staffed and then an extra one if needed, I think. So I will also enable screen sharing for everyone now before I forget. So you guys can share with the hosts in the rooms. And I will broadcast an announcement at 5 minutes before the end of the rooms, and they will close at 11:30 Mountain Standard Time. Just one second. If you click on the breakout meeting thing, it'll display the list of the open rooms. If you go next to the room, just hover over it. You can click join and then confirm you have the right room by clicking join again. You can leave a room and go to another room. You can leave a room, come back into the main room that we're in now. Just make sure you don't leave the meeting itself. If you do, you can always come back in, but you can bounce around. If for some reason you're on a device that you just aren't able to get into a room, just let us know. You can put it in the text or just take yourself off mute and let us know. And we'll leave this list here displayed so you can see what's available and ask for it by name.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you so much for hosting today. So if you are looking for your room, they're open. Click on the bottom of your screen. You should see breakout rooms, an icon called breakout rooms. And once you click on that icon, the breakout rooms should pop up. And then you should see, let's see, let me make sure all our speakers are. Lori, you want me to help you get into your room? Let's see, are you? Because I see you're still on the side, so I want to make sure that you get into your room. Where are you at? Oh, I think she must have got it. Okay, she got it. So click on the icon, breakout rooms, and then you can go off, choose the room you want to go into. So we have a LinkedIn coach here, Jamie Starner. We have resume writers, obviously the ones you saw today, as well as Amanda Miller. She's fantastic, as well as Krista Morris. She's been answering questions in the chat. We also have a career coach. So if you're thinking about interview questions, career changers, you can talk to Pamela Heward. She is in one of the rooms as well. All of them are available to talk to you. You can drop in one room. If there's a long line, you can go to a different room. You can go back. So you're not stuck to just one room. I see that Pamela has some space right now. Jamie Starner has some space. Krista Morris has some space. Donna Tucker has some space. So those are all great rooms to be in right now. If you can't get into a room or the buttons aren't working, want to go ahead and drop it in the chat, and or you can unmute yourself and we can then move you along into the room. So if you aren't sure, if you can't get into a room, just let us know and we will help get you to where you need to go. AJ, let's see. AJ, you want to go in a room where you can get some response to some of your questions. I assume you're talking about resume questions. I am going to put you into Krista's room, AJ. I believe she has one other person in there right now. Let's see. My thing isn't coming up. Wendy, can you help me move AJ into Krista's room? For some reason, mine's not coming up.
And okay, yeah. To Krista?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, got it.
And AJ, you'll see something should pop up on your screen that you just have to accept. Okay, good. Most people are moving around. Hi, Socorro. Good to see you. And Glenn, if you have a room you want to go to, just let us know and we'll be happy to help you out.
First time I saw you, I knew right away. Made up my mind you would be mine someday. You know I need you, so don't turn away. 'Cause at the end of the day, I'll be alright. Still I'm praying that you change your mind. I'll be okay. 'Cause you'll come around eventually. Hey, hey, hey. When I love someone, I'm loving all the
Hi, if you are just joining us, we are in the breakout networking portion and coaching portion of our event. And so we've already been through the content, but if you would like to meet with one of our coaches, you may go into any of the coaching rooms that are available. You just need to click on your icon at the bottom of your screen that says breakout rooms. And the breakout rooms will open up and you can just choose which room you would like to go to. We have resume writers, LinkedIn coaches, we have a career coach here today. And so you just join where you would like to. Do you want this movable? You don't, right?